All right, guys, so Jake, Garrett, and Jeff here at EDC. We get a lot of questions about the slots and how we get our slots the way we do and nice and even and slick. And so what we're going to go through today is the processes that we use to do that. So we've got here just a regular flat holster. We're going to use for demonstration purposes just a section of ear that we've cut out here. So step one, what we've got is you trace your ear on, trace your slot on, and you guys will notice we use a curve punch. You can use a slotted straight slot. Works just fine, doesn't hurt anything at all. This is just kind of our preference. So when we go to do this, we get everything traced on there. We set our punch up. You got to kind of pick your hammer. You want something with a little bit of weight. A lot of folks keen on the Barry King mauls. Real nice, real solid, hit real well. For those of us who are on a bit more of a budget, we just got a little baby sledgehammer here, and what we've done is you can use veg tan cow. This is actually a piece of horse that we put on there, just some scrap. Kind of glue it on there, tape it on until the glue holds up. So this is the on a budget version, and it's actually, we have both hammers and what we choose to use. So we're going to go ahead and get this slot knocked in here. There we go. Like I said, curved slot, straight slot, either one doesn't matter. So now on to the next step. All right, guys, so the next step here is what we're going to use. This is an 1/8 inch metal machining burr. We get it at Grizzly. Jake will post a link down below. Last I checked, they were about 20 bucks. So what this does for us is when you punch anything, the hole at the top is wider than the hole at the bottom, so it narrows down. And so our goal is to have a straight slot all the way through. And so that's what this machine burr is going to do for us. So originally designed for metal, but is great for leather. You do have to be just a little bit careful. It gets a little bit hungry, so you can very quickly eat too much leather, but it just leaves a nice, smooth slot, and it takes that cone out of it. There we go. So it just takes that kind of beveled cone shape out of it. It's just straight through and through now. All right, so here we're going to bevel. We've got two different types of bevelers here. One is just it's a craft tool, number 3. It's just a common beveler. This one's great for straight edges. Wide sweeping corners are really wonderful. For the slots, don't really prefer it. What happens when you get into these tight corners is it tends to want to bite and jab, and it just kind of makes those corners kind of jagged. So what we like to use is a Barry King short radius beveler. This is a number 3 is what we use. So it's just got a nice round smooth edge like that when it's rolled over. Keeps it from biting into those hard corners and just taking big gouges out. So see, it's just got the teeth on it. You get up into that corner, it's hard to get around that corner. Doesn't make for a nice smooth round. Whereas when we take the short radius beveler from Barry King here, you can just zoom right around that corner, back up the other side and around the other corner. See, and it just makes a nice smooth bevel all the way around versus a kind of a jagged corner. Again, just one of those kind of finishing touches, makes it look real nice when it's done. All right, so at this point we've molded our holster, we've dyed our holster. Our holster's had plenty of time for the dye to dry and outgas, so it's good and solid and dry. So we've got two different kinds of pins here that we're going to look at, because we want to dye the inside of this slot black, just so it stands out, looks a little bit different. So the first pin we've got here is an Angelus Die Pin. This one here we got down at Springfield Leather. Jake will post a link below so you guys can find them online there. Very common, very easy to find. Whereas the other pin here, this is a Canoptic. Got it several years ago at a craft store. They're a bit trickier to find, but also a wonderful pin as well. They have two different types of tips on them. So the Angelus pins, they come with just kind of a standard marker tip, kind of small, nice for getting into the edges, detailed work. Canoptic has a bit of a fatter, longer head on it, so good for those long, straight passes. And then also, it's actually what we're going to be using to do the inside of the slot. Just kind of my preference. I like the angle on the head of the marker there. So what we're going to do is just kind of, you're going to hold it at a bit of an angle, and we're going to try to get the whole outer kind of beveled portion that we did earlier. Once we get that all the way around, flip it over, do the back side. All right, and then we also want to try to get down in the slot, down in the middle. And this is why I like the Canoptic with that hard angle on the head. You just kind of tilt it, just rub it on there. And you want to get good, solid black dye penetration through there. So once we finish it later, it just has a good, solid look to it. All right, so what's going to follow up after this? We're going to go ahead and seal it. We're going to use Angelus's Acrylic Finisher. Again, Jake will post that link down below for that. So once we get it dipped in the acrylic, we're going to come back and we'll show you what the next step's going to be. All right, guys, so at this point, we've sealed our holster in the acrylic finisher. We've put it in the hot box, 120 degrees for about 5 minutes. So it's really started to set up, but it's not all the way hard. It's just a little bit on the tacky side. It's kind of what you're looking for. And so what we're going to use to slick down the insides of these is just a good old deer antler. We got a couple different ones we use, just kind of depending on, again, what we're doing here. So this one we're going to use the little one. And what you're going to do is, what you got to remember is you got 3 different edges here. You got your front edge that you've beveled, you've got your inside edge, and then your backside edge. And so the goal is just a bit of pressure, a bit of speed, just like slicking any other edge. You're just going to rub that thing down all the way around. Just back and forth till you get a nice, smooth, shiny edge on that interior. There you go. It's just nice and slick and smooth and hard, and the belt slides in and out of it real nice like. And then after this, what we do is we're just going to put it back in our hot box and let that Angelus Acrylic Finisher go ahead and finish hardening back up. Then you'll have perfectly smooth slots.